Give me a second, please. I haven't done a face-to-face video with the tripod and all that in forever. I want to jump on and talk about a couple of things real quick. I might just for now turn the comments off just to kind of be able to get through this a little quicker. Go a little more light there so it's not so hard for y'all to see. Can I do comments? Can I fix them here? Messages. I don't know how to turn it off. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Anyways, thanks for being here. Welcome to the channel. It is a vlogish style. I couldn't do it outside though because of what I want to do here. I hate when the camera's low like that because it always makes you look weird. But I like to be really present and honest about the information that I find and where I'm going to go with it. I'm just trying to center things. I'm kind of OCD about things being symmetric. There we go. All right, so this is going to be different. It's going to be pretty quick too. It shouldn't take that long. So I have to show you guys a couple of things. And you know that I'm not like a politic person. I don't really fall in with all of that. It's just not what I do. Sorry, I'm cold. I've been giving the boys showers, or at least the boy and the girl showers. And my oldest one is like passing actively. And our dachshund passed last October, so it's just been a time. And those of you that don't know, you can go back to like my testimony videos and see how, for whatever reason, things that came into my personal life between spring of 2018 and fall of 2019 seem to have come into the public arena, like Stormy, like the Rona in its own way, which I'll get to in a minute. Musk and all the searches and information I found about him in my own computer, like it's just also weird. Okay, I gotta take my glasses off, so I apologize if somebody does comment and I don't see it. And I do, like I said, have a few notes here just for keeping things flowing decently because I get distracted easily. Okay, so I looked this up and I have to show it to you. First of all, I have to say I hate politics. For me, it reminds me of the WWE right now. I don't blame anyone else for voting. I understand why people feel it's their responsibility and an obligation. But I think that in big part, when we follow what they want us to do, like what trends or what the mass of people, the biggest group of people wants to do, it seems to be we go in the wrong way. We go easily astray when there's like a big group of us making decisions. And usually it's the wrong one. So I choose not to vote because my conscience can't bear to vote for the lesser of two evils or to sign off on every action, every word, everything another person does who's a complete stranger to me for the next 4 years. That's just me. I don't blame anyone else for doing it at all. And I will talk about politics a little bit. But again, I'm not very knowledgeable about it either, and I don't like to misinform people. Like, that's a big problem in the world and in workplaces today. Hey, Great Light, how are you? It's nice to see you. Sorry I look all wonky. I have to, it's a cheap tripod, so when I put a phone in it, it, leans over, and so, it's weird. It makes things look weird, and I apologize. One day I'll learn how to, fix that. I might start using my camcorder, but that's another video when I talk about, fasting from social media. I mean, technically I'm not reading scriptures. I don't have to have my head covered, but it's just a thing I do. I've been bathing dogs all morning. Okay, so I had to show this to you. And it reminds me a lot now of the political arena of WWE, WWF, that same mentality. There's nothing wrong with enjoying entertainment. I don't think, I don't believe in overindulging or under super denial unless we are in a time like this and we've all went a little too much into excess. But I found it very interesting that Dana White, I think that's his name, the guy who owns UFC, he said in an interview that he didn't want all his players, if they want to love Jesus on their own time and in their personal lives, they should keep that at home. I found it fascinating that he said that he said, because then he followed it up with no religion and no politics. People are here to see a fight. number one, there's politics in everything. There is like politics when you vote for class president. There are politics when you vote or in church, right? Electing new heads and whatnot. There's politics in like everything. It's like this side stream thing. Even if you don't vote, there's like these, what's the word I'm looking for? Rudimentary like red tape and things you have to kind of follow. And like I said, it's a weird like offshoot of societal like organizations and institutions. But I found it fascinating that he said no religion, no politics, and then he's coming to the ring with Trump at UFC. So like to do like their opening for one of the fights or something. So I found that really intriguing. And so I was thinking, and I'm like, what is all this talk with like weird? Because it is so, number one, it's so mature. I feel like I'm watching children on a playground. But this word keeps coming up, right? They're just weird. They're just weird. They're just weird. So again, something in the public arena from my personal life. There's this person who also has red hair, who in a previous life of mine, before being saved, when I was a dancer, and everybody knows like my testimony and like the things that I've done. I've been very open about that, but I'm not going to condemn myself forever. So moving on. There was a girl that I worked with, and I knew her, and not well. I always respected her. I thought she did what she had to do to support her son, and we didn't get naked there. It wasn't that. It was that kind of dancing, but we didn't get nude or anything. So it was very tame stuff. And she had red hair. Now I told you, my spouse had told me he had said something degrading about red-haired people, and the person that he is now, this different person, anything he says he hates, he actually like is in with. And when I said, no, you don't hate them, you know, you must love them or something. After that, there was people with red hair everywhere, and big YouTubers that were gingers becoming like big. And I even did a video trying to determine if possibly Christ had reddish hair, because scripture says he had a ruddy complexion, that David had a ruddy complexion, which means you blush easily, you have red cheeks, right? So I'd even played with the idea, did he have red hair? We also know that there are, on the other end of things, on the darker end of things, that there are red-haired giants. So anyway, moving on. This person, this woman that I used to dance with way back in the day, her initials are JC. She got in a bad accident when she was 33. So again, there's something going on here. For some reason, things that are in my personal life end up on the main stage. But I will say I don't think I'm of any importance. I just think it's not coincidental. I think it's someone I'm close to in the area that I'm in. I don't think it's per se me, right? Now, when I was asked to do this at the beginning, I'll get into that in a minute. So what did I look up? I looked up the word weird. You know, etymology is a big thing for me. I think we need to understand the meanings of words. When I originally looked up Agenda 2030, that was in there for the Event 201 practice. That was in there that they were going to use reverse language, and by the time the public figured out what was going on, it would be too late. And I couldn't believe this was like readily available online. But again, you just have to read. You have to be willing to read. I think that's why like scripture and ancient texts are easier for me to grasp, is because of that. And we all have a talent, and this is me trying to use mine to strengthen the kingdom. Forgive me, I'm using a little light, like a ring light. I've never used one before, but I want things to be a little aesthetically pleasing for you guys, because I know it's hard to watch a channel that always like the screenshots and all this. And I want you to see I'm a real living, breathing individual. Okay, so yeah, the whole thing, like I'm blinking and stuff, I apologize. Now I'm going to show you this. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. I'm going to hold it up to the screen. And when I do, you can screenshot it if you like. And I'll probably use it as a thumbnail. I am freezing, and it's like not cold. So weird in the etymology tool. Circa 1400, having power to control fate. From weird, W-I-E-R-D, noun, from Old English weird, W-Y-R-D. fate, chance, fortune, destiny, the fates. Literally, that which comes. It's from Proto-Germanic, word he's. I'm not great with German accents, I'm sorry. Source also of Old Saxon word, W-U-R-D, Old High German wort, W-U-R-T, fate, Old Norse, which we know who they are. We know who the Vikings are. We know they were ginormous individuals. Again, I don't have anything against any one group specifically. I think blanket statements can be dangerous, but there are reasons that there are stereotypes, right? Like, because for whatever reason, big masses of people get together and make decisions, but usually when they make decisions, they are negative decisions. Okay, so Old Norse, Juror, fate, one of the three norns. Wort, to turn, to wind, also from German werden, W-E-R-D-E-N. Old English, weirdan, to become. To turn, bend, for the sense development, from turning to becoming. Compare phrase to turn into or become. The sense of uncanny supernatural developed from Middle English use of weird sisters for the three fates. Now, if you don't know the three fates, that's a story from Greek mythology, and the three fates are these deities who are in charge of, in the hierarchy of God, biblically speaking, these would be angels in charge of this. These are three sisters, and sometimes they say that's also like a thing for Hecate, which I don't know, because Hecate is supposed to be one individual, so again, my occult knowledge is very limited. But the basic is that the three sisters of fate, they control human destiny, and one unwinds the string and puts it into the loom, that is life. The other threads it, and the other snips it, which would be your death. So that's what that means. It's from Macbeth. Odd looking or uncanny, odd, strange, disturbingly different. Now that was in 1820. So if we go to the beginning, as far back as this etymology tool gives us, the word weird actually means having the power to control fate. Now they are playing us and using us and telling you everything that they're going to do and who they are and what they're about. But too many people don't read, or they don't know the original meanings of words, or they don't even know how to research etymology. Etymology is the study of the history of a word. Thank you, Mrs. Watson. God bless you for being an awesome fourth grade English teacher. Etymology is vitally important, just as important, I believe, as like frequency, and the only two things that are above those at this time are love and forgiveness. And yes, love is telling the truth. I might have a big mouth and I might say things sometimes that are socially awkward. And a lot of people get forgiveness for that today. Well, that person's just so socially awkward. That person has Asperger's. I've always been an outcast. So pretty much everybody is welcome here. I don't go for bullying. And this is my channel. So when I see those behaviors, I'm going to nip those in the butt. And I'm not going to apologize for that. I do apologize that sometimes I'm more harsh than I need to be, and it is something God is continuously working on with me. But I think in this time we need people who are going to be blunt, concise, to the point, and do their best to not inform us and to give us truth. Even when truth sometimes, it's not what we want to hear, but it's what we need to hear. That's how I know when I'm talking to God, because I get information and illumination, enlightenment, true enlightenment about things that I don't want to hear, right? But there are things that usually I need to hear. There goes that ringing in the right ear, which is usually a yes. And yes, it's a whole thing, and I'm not going to get into it now if you've not heard me talk about it. Tinnitus, I don't think is just tinnitus. My personal opinion, you don't have to agree with me. And it's awesome if we don't agree, like I'm fine with that, because we can both learn that way, but we need to be respectful, right? And hasty judgment is a really big problem online. I would ask you not to do that either and make a judgment about me or anyone on the channel by a single comment or even a single video, or even true judgment, like to condemn me or anyone else on the channel because of a belief that we hold or something. we're not supposed to judge in that way. That's not righteous judgment. So I told you the connection to weird for me, and of course it goes along with the red hair. And now something else is happening at work, and this is where I need to touch on again, that when all this started, like what God told me, because I said, what am I to do? What is like my position in the kingdom? What do I do with my life now that like I'm back with God? And I want to say something too. In the past, I've said that I've been a really bad representative for God, for Christ, and that's true, but not as true as I thought it was. People need to understand my cautionary testimony is because I stopped attending church. And I'm not going to say what church. I'm not here to try and convert you guys. That's not the goal. The goal is when I stopped tending to my spiritual needs and stopped being fed spiritual words through my ear gates, the more time that passed without that, the more I went down off that cliff. And it's a slow process. You don't even realize it's happening at first, or that you're making compromises every day until it's too late. And it's very hard to change at that point. And I believe you have to have God. So when all this has started and I asked what my job was, God said one word. And God's funny like that with me. I'll be like, just give me a word, just a word. And it gives me literally a single word. And I said, what am I? What should I do? And he said, you're a witness. Hope you noticed the huge uptick in folks with red hair and yes. Yes. I agree. Green-eyed mama. Nice to see you here for a live. I'd still change that name unless your eyes are green. Just my personal opinion, because you're always kind to me. So it's very hard to see that like the green-eyed monster would. But I mean, big people are called tiny sometimes. So maybe it's a cool name to be the opposite of what you actually are. So anyways, welcome. Thanks for being here. Yes, red hair seems to be symbolic. I told you about my spouse's mother doing a birthday announcement for him on Facebook saying, inspired by royalty. Don't know where the frame came from. It was a Facebook frame. Nobody else had one. Of course, it was purple. I've went over like all of this ad nauseum, so I'm not going to go over it right now. But when I asked God, when all this started, what I was to do from that point on, because things were really out of control spiritually in my life. And a lot of it is attributed to me sinning, but also being pushed into sin by people who were around me. And I believe I've got a giant coven type of thing happening around here. And those people do allegedly have sensual relationships with each other. And I think the goal is to get a lot of us, especially Christ followers, independent thinkers, with a demon, like possessed by something else or under control of something else or other. MK Ultra, mind control, I don't know what you would call it. For lack of a better phrase, I call it possession because in my research, I found that there are actually ways the occult tries to make this happen. And I believe that's what they were doing with me, and I believe that it possibly happened with my sons when I went to Florida on that trip that I went on with my neighbor. Anyways, when I asked God what I was to do, he gave me one word, and the word was witness. And I've had people ask me, are you one of the two witnesses? At the time of getting that word from God, I didn't even know what one of the witnesses was, number one. Number two, I don't know. I have no idea. All I know is that things that come out of my mouth sometimes lately, the last several years, seem to be coming like in an oracle type of manner, right? Things around me seem to be on the main world stage. And you've watched some of the testimony videos. If not, and you have time and you're interested, go ahead, because you're not alone. They're doing a lot of damage control for the things that are happening now and the changes happening to people's bodies physically. Calling it pillow face. I think a lot of people are chubby because eating habits have changed. Cannibalism is greatly being normalized. We know that was a thing with the Nephilim, with the hybrids. Some of them, not all of them. And I'm not okay with that. Like, I do not consent. I'm not food. You're not food. We're not food. I don't, in this really low opinion that agnostic people or atheistic people or satanic people have of humanity. Yeah, we've got our issues. Yeah, we've got our problems. But we are unique and we are special, and each and every one of us is. Jesus said, I and the Father are the two witnesses. He did not say that. He didn't say that. Anyways, the two witnesses that saw Jesus transfigure on top of the mountain were Moses and Elijah. I think it was the figures of Moses and Elijah when the disciples saw him with his white robe, and they saw his actual light body on the top of the mountain. But yeah, don't misinform people here. Jesus didn't say that. Actually read the book for yourself. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to what other people say. Maybe it's different for you. I don't know. I'm not going to judge right now certain things, but that's not what it says. And it gives very specific, people have said, well, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, maybe it's this. It gives very specific ending for these two individuals. Very clearly it says they are able to be killed, they are killed, and the beast kills them. And their bodies are literally left in the street, and people throw a party. And again, these are all things that I've said would happen when I pass, because I guess I do have a big mouth, and there are people out there I have offended. Some of them on a higher echelon, and that is one of the reasons this is happening. If they really are the fallen around here, and I started talking about carcinogens being in our makeup and our food, and his family starting to distance themselves from me at that point in time, and then when I came out against them trying to lower the age of consent on Facebook, my whole community turned on me. So let me ask you, if I'm trying to protect children and I'm trying to help people not come to harm, what kind of individuals do you suppose then that are around me? None of this is fabricated. None of this is a lie. I cannot live with myself unless I get this story out. The channel's not monetized. I don't do this for money. I don't do it for clout or popularity, because all it's brought me is trouble. Pure and simple. And the Father that sent me beareth witness of me. Yeah, not in that way though. Okay, so is Jesus and his Father going to die then in the end of the book? No. It says very clearly that the two witnesses prophesy about the Antichrist for 3.5 years, and then at the end of that time that they die. So it's very clear. There is no way you can misinterpret that. But yes, there are the same words used through. Everybody is called to be a witness in the consignment or commission of Christ. We are each supposed to witness to the testimony of God. They say even the trees and the birds are witnesses to the fact that there is a creator, an intelligent designer. And that's the only time the word fool is used in the Bible, is when it says those who don't see that are fools. So obviously, yes, words are used over and over again, biblically speaking, in any book. So, yeah. Thank you, Green Eyes. I appreciate that. So, at work, at this new job, and again, I'm not giving out anyone's specific information. I'm not giving out names. I don't talk about the name of the town that I live in. It's very generic. I live in Northeast Ohio. That's pretty much it. And I'm very careful now when I'm out and about. If I do walk and talks, I don't show certain things for that reason, because I do respect people's access to their own privacy, in their lives, and having some control over their own life and what goes on in their life and their immediate space. So anyways, a couple of people have allegedly got the Rona, or did get it. Now, I don't know, again, if this is a fear campaign trying to scare me. I'm not sick. I don't believe I will get sick. It has not been revealed to me that will be the way that I will pass. If I do have to pass again, because yes, I've done that a couple of times, and it's weird, and it's bizarre, and no, I didn't have the tunnel or any of that. There was physically something that pushed me back into my body, so it did not want me. It was definitely not my time. Anyways, a couple of people have this. And I'm not going to talk about all the coincidences again, because if I talk about them all, I'm going to, literally have to tell you all about my entire day. Some gaslighting is going on. Things I've said in videos are being said by the young people that I work with to me, and I'm ignoring it because I don't believe it's them themselves doing it purposely, intentionally. And if it is, I still forgive them. They work hard. They work like a team most of the time. They do have that bully aspect, though, that I really, really strongly dislike. So I'm doing the best that I can now at this time without stepping over certain boundaries, to set a better example, right? And to call out certain behaviors when I see it, because we need to be doing that. We should be doing that. Love is not tolerance of bad behavior. Yes, love is tolerance of your neighbor and them having access to their property, their peace, their life, their wife, such and such and such and such. But this has been mentioned, and this is why I brought up the witness thing, because when this all started, I said, you know what? If there is a plague happening, I hope it's given to other people who have ever specifically harmed a child in a very specific way. Because when you're angry, you say things. And that's what I said. And to kind of, in another prayer, I asked God, I said, well, if this is real, it should go to the people who have not repented of something else relating to children. Because again, this is part of my personal testimony too. And then there was another Rona that came out. In the book, it says that the two witnesses will be able to call the plagues of Egypt, that it will rain or not rain for as long as they wish. When I ask for rain, I get rain. If I don't ask for rain, it gets parched and hot and sunny. I'm just relaying this to you. This is in part like a journal or a documentation. Why am I telling you this? How will this edify your faith? Well, it will. Because again, God is listening. God listens. God is a living God. Our God and Maker loves us and is a good parent. And sometimes it's hard to see that if you're not a parent. If I look through my child glasses, everything is curious, everything is interesting, and I'm the why kid asking God about everything. But at that same time, if I'm looking through glasses that are immature, it's like, why are you doing this? Why is this happening? Why is this happening to me? Why do bad things happen to good people? But if you put on your parent lenses and look at things through a parental lens, you then can kind of start to understand how God is working, right? And how it's important to him that he work around our free will, and how it's important that not everything is spoken of. But I had to tell you that, and that this is going on. And I told you how I think, if I am separated from a certain area for a time, I think I know how that might go. Do I want for people to be ill? Obviously not. No, I don't want people to lose their loved ones and all of that. At the same time, there are consequences for all of our actions here. Every word you speak, every time you act or don't act when you should, there are consequences for that. I am living proof of that. Now, I was a bad rep for God, but every time I accept God's help in my life, I am a better version of me. All I can do with all of my tomorrows is try to be better than I was today, and to never go back to who I was yesterday. That's what I hope to do, and the bare bolts of how I feel on a daily basis going into the day, to the new day. But it's important that I tell you about these things to testify, because that's how the enemy is defeated. Now, with all this talk of weird going on, and that being a controller of fate, is Trump the Antichrist? He's called himself Jesus a couple of times. He says he doesn't believe in repenting. Oh, constellations. I didn't realize that was on the back. And dinosaurs? I don't know. Is he the Antichrist? Did he have red hair as a child? Is he related to the royal family? I think he is, but again, I think the people that we see on television are proxies. I don't think that rich, elitist, powerful people would want you to see their real face. On another end, I think they've been hiding the big people in plain sight. And I think only the people who will keep the secret are allowed to fly and see certain things, fly over certain things, are allowed to go to California, road trips, even the Grand Canyon probably. Only people who are going to keep the secret, because the large ones are still here. They're hidden in plain sight, and a lot of them are on the screen. If you pay attention, like I tried to show you with Eugenia Cooney, she is a lot larger than her mom. Her mom, even I've heard in a couple of videos say, stay back, don't get too close, right? She's never right next to anyone else, and if she is, she's real scrunched up. But I told you, I think she has a beautiful personality. I don't hold that against her. Her genes, something none of us can help. My concern is that something about these bloodlines seems to be make these individuals easier to possess or get an attachment going with. Because something changed and these beings are coming out more and showing themselves, and they're literally, they think it's like hide and seek. They think it's fun. They are very childlike in their dealings. That's why you see the poo everywhere, because it's funny to them. It's also Lord of the Flies, and it goes along with Baal, or whoever he is. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. I don't like you. I don't have to like you. But God has a job for everybody. There is no waste, right? I'm not saying I'd work with demons, but I'm saying they still work for the big guy. And that's who I go. I go to the big boss. These people around me, y'all might have covens, you might have your little groups, you might even have large groups of friends, and you get me here and there, and oh, I'm scared, right? Like, whatever. But you don't have the same heart as us. You just don't, and I feel really bad about that. And I'm not scared of you, because I don't go to the hierarchy. That's for God to micromanage. I shouldn't say, hey, you're in charge of the rain, come help me. I ask God first, hey, if it's all right, can you send whoever is in charge of the rain to bring us some? These people, they're operating directly with fallen ones, thinking that they are gaining so much for it, and they're losing so much, and now it's evident on their faces. And again, if you watch certain videos, you can tell that Trump is a big man, Melania is a big individual, and Barron is very big. Then you've got this Trump, the time traveler. Something else about Eugenia Cooney, she had somebody watching her video, and she shouted out the person, oh, John Titor, thank you so much. John Titor is an internet legend at this point, and he started telling people that he was a time traveler. Look up the story. Maybe I'll read it to you guys in a video tonight. Maybe I'll upload a video. It's very interesting seeing a lot of these things coalesce. I don't limit myself to one paradigm of research material. I look in religion, I look in politics, I look in history, I look in other cultures and countries. Sometimes I'll just search a single word to see what comes up as most relevant for that word. I follow intuition a lot, and I pray, and then I meditate on what I prayed on so that I am receptive to hear what God gives me. But these are things that I said I would do, so that's why I'm doing this, and I'm doing it because I love you. I don't even know you, but I do love you. So I hope everyone has a blessed day. I think that's true as well. I think every verse has different, like 3 different possibilities. And I think if you look at the Bible as the personal testimony and like a personal, like how you can relate that practically to your own life. Like I think judgment, the 2 witnesses are mainly yourself and God, right? Your conscience. Because your conscience witnesses everything in your life. Even if you shut it up, it's still there, seeing and hearing everything that happens. So that's a good point. I actually do agree with that. May I ask if the brats in your life have any physical indicators? Yes. And I've answered that before. But in case you missed it, yes. The person who was allegedly a tattoo artist who came from LA that we met was large and had tooth problems and said it was because of this. But I'm on the fence now, kind of wondering if he was a good guy because he had most of his teeth, and a lot of the stuff that he gave me is truth and is happening. Maybe good guy's going too far, but maybe it's a repentant fallen angel watcher. I don't know. I try not to judge people's hearts. Discernment is key. We're all going to judge people. We're all going to need discernment in life, but to hastily judge somebody by like one sentence or one video or one aspect of their life even is inappropriate, I think. But yes, they do have teeth problems. Some people I've taken care of have had double row teeth. They have birth defects seems to run in that line. All these people have the same problems. It's always the teeth. There's always like a double extra digit somewhere. Another note that I wanted to make real quick is 22. Remember how I said I think that might be like the Antichrist number or whatever? Or at least what I was told about the 22 here. Again, this is all throughout my videos. It's very possible the AC might have 22 chromosomes instead of 23, right? Because we all have 23. Oh, and the girl who did that song, Brat Summer, the song, CXCX or CXXC, I don't know. You got the two C's for 33, and then XX is girl, right? XX for girl chromosomes, XY for boy. I think is how it goes. If you have a Y chromosome, you're a boy. You're born a male. I love you too. I love you all. I really do. That's why I try not to do any harm now. And these are my efforts. Another effort that I do penance on is giving up things that I greatly love. At times, like chocolate, cold coffee, and animals, eating animals. And that's for a little bit of a different reason, but that's my sacrifice to God, is saying I'm not going to eat meat, number one, that I don't know if it's been sacrificed to some other being. Number two, that I didn't sacrifice myself for my own life. Like if I want to be sustained, I should go, I believe, hunt the animal at least, at the very least, and make use of all the parts of it. Number three, I believe they have a spirit. Genesis says they do, and priests and teachers and pastors, everybody skips right over that because nobody's comfortable with how we're supposed to be living. And I think we all know how we're supposed to be living in our heart, but nobody wants to go there, right? So anyway, I got a lot to do today that I got to get done. Was that everything? I told you about the Bratz girl. I told you about the double digits. Yes, a lot of them will be born with an extra finger, extra toe. Marilyn Monroe allegedly had an extra toe. And again, I think these large beings are everywhere. I think they're on the screen. You can sort of tell when they're on stage and stuff. Like, I don't even want to mention her name, but Taylor Swift seems to be a large individual as well. If you can't tell that just by looking at how big somebody is in frame, like some people will hold the phone way back and they still look super big, right? And yes, angles can be changed. There's a lot of illusion that can happen with lenses, and that's what I'm telling you. A lot of illusions can happen with lenses and have been happening. We have some friends, though, who seem to be revealing these things to us, but you gotta pay attention. Do a 3-day fast. No food, no social media, no screen. You come back to it, let me tell you how bizarre things look then. Anyways, I'm gonna run. I got stuff to do. I love you guys. I hope you're all blessed. Thank you so much for being here. And I think that was it. I think you asked me something else about the fallen, though, if they had any other physical indicators. They usually aren't big on Jesus, obviously. They're kind of atheistic. They don't have much of a personality. They all have a very similar personality. You'll see them laugh or maybe be happy, but it's not true joy. And they don't love. And they very rarely say the word. They don't really truly cry. There's a lot of them fake crying right now. Sometimes you can eat a whole lot of red meat and that will make you emotional when it's not warranted. They're narcissistic abusers. Like, again, everything's very immature to them. Everything's funny. Like, it's like dealing with a 12-year-old. Yeah, it's like they're all a bunch of 12-year-olds. It's like children. And that's, again, why I'm trying to have a different attitude and a different approach. But I'm still not going to consent to human beings being food. Like, it's just not, no, we're not food. We're not supposed to be food. I don't care how hungry you are. There are people, you can go 40 days without food. I'm not a doctor. This is not medical advice. People have done it. All you got to do is research it. And again, this is my personal testimony. Right, Pavlov's, Jesus, man. Pavlov's law, Pavlov. He did the experiment with the bell and dogs and the food in the cage. and even when he wasn't going to feed them, they would still salivate. People are like that. We're like that. I'm the same way with a cigarette after a meal if I don't get it, right? It's kind of the same thing. I can't remember. There was one other like small thing that I wanted to tell you guys about, and I can't remember what it was. I never want to make light of people's tragedies or sufferings or people being ended or dying, but I look at death a little differently because I know we are eternal beings, and I also know there's a lot of deception about that as well happening. I think that's it for now. You guys have a blessed day. Watch out for the channel for uploads. I try to do lives these days because more people get to see those and they don't push out the uploads like at all. But if I don't do some, then that'll hurt my analytics too. So I'll probably like schedule a couple of uploads and maybe do a couple of truth and songs that have kind of been building up in the back of my mind. But as always, there's so much to talk about and try to cover with you, and just to like point to and say, hey, there's a reason this is all happening, right? And again, another tip off that these are not people of our generation that you're dealing with is their word usage. They use very strange terminology. They don't understand parables or analogies at all. They don't understand references, most of them. Newer references, they'll use old-timey words and stuff. So yeah, there's ways you can tell, absolutely. But I'm gonna bounce. I love you guys. Stay blessed. Pray. It's good for you. And be kind to somebody. That's good for us all. I'm gonna take this light off and hopefully that will be able to end the stream. Sorry guys. So immature or so unprofessional. There we go. All right, y'all. If you like the video, please consider giving it a thumbs up just so I know you understand the verbiage that I use. And y'all have a blessed day. Stay in God. You as well.